It has been a wild and adventurous past 7 days. This time last week, I was in Nashville for Southern Underground Pro for their show Stay Cold, which was awesome. And can't wait to see them again in March. And then later this past week, I was in South Haven, Mississippi for AEW Dynamite, my first live AEW event. And that was excellent. Very fantastic. Had a great time at both shows. And I have wrestling coming up this weekend as well. Gonna be in Austin Saturday and Sunday. I've got GCW coming up on Saturday, and then I'll be in Austin again on Sunday for an indie show at that same venue the next day. So just wrestling all over the place in January. That was my Christmas present to myself, because January is usually kind of a slump, for me at least it is. And I feel like having some wrestling involved, wrestling all over the place and traveling all over the place, would just boost my spirits. And I really feel like it has. Going back to this past Wednesday with AEW Dynamite, I thought that was an excellent show. I went back and watched it on DVR the next day just to see if the crowd sounded as hype on TV as it did, in a live atmosphere. And to me, it did. So I'm hoping that the people in charge are listening and watching, come back to the Memphis area soon. Because I think that that energy that we had for that particular show was great. I even sent a tweet to Tony Khan when he said that they would be listening to the fans and seeing what people want. And I sent that tweet saying that I had a great time and that I hope they come back to the Memphis area soon now that they know that we keep it hype. I think they will. I think that crowd combined with that particular show and that lineup this past Wednesday was a perfect match of events that just led to a wonderful night overall. I have to give so much thanks to Papa and Mama Stunt. They are wonderful. They are wonderful people. I got to spend time with them prior to the show. Got to have some pizza with them and sat with them at the show. They were kind enough to let me sit with them at the show. So that was so wonderful. Got to sit with Logan and just talk and chill. That was great. And I also got to see Blake Christian there at the Wednesday show for AEW Dynamite and sat next to him. And we just had a great time. Can't wait till they come back. Hopefully next time the crowd will be just as hype as we were this past Wednesday. Just as hype for Marco. It was so wonderful to see all that love for Marco Stunt and see the long way that he's come in just, a couple of years. And I'm hoping the same thing will happen for Logan. Actually, I know the same thing will happen for Logan. He's just as good. So it's really awesome to see kind of like the origin story of these wrestlers that we're seeing now coming up from the indies to making the big money, getting signed to the contracts. And that's just great. So much love to the Stun family for having me there and sitting with me and showing me love. Can't wait to see you again. Other things that are going on. GCW. Of course, I'm going to their show this weekend. They had their first show of the year yesterday evening with I Can't Feel My Face. I love that name. Brett Lauderdale and his rap music just gives us all these wonderful titles for the shows. But we had that show yesterday evening, and that was a show just full of the best of indie wrestling. That was a great first of the year card overall. And it was a good card to introduce somebody to GCW, as opposed to, showing them maybe something like Bloodsport that may not be up their alley, or maybe like Fright Fest that might not be, great if they're not a deathmatch wrestler fan. I think I Can't Feel My Face, as strange as the name may sound, was that diverse of a lineup, of a card, to where you had some of the deathmatch features, and where you had the high-flying high spots in the scramble match. And then you had the great technical wrestling like Atlas and Deppen. So, yeah, that was an awesome show. And you had situations where, with Ricky Shane Page and Nick Gage, where you have the drama that's rolling over into the next event. And then you had the surprises too. You had Joey Janela making the announcement that he would be getting back into the GCW ring. Hell yes. Get back in there, Joey. Next month, back in Jersey for Run, Ricky Run. Yeah, that's the name of their next event. And they're keeping Ricky on the run too. You know, you got this weekend in Austin. Ricky Shane Page is going to be taking on Mance Warner. That's going to be fun as hell. And then next month, taking on somebody else, I guess. But I don't think Ricky Shane Page is going to be, as much as I, love to hate him, this championship run for him, the kind of started last month in Nashville. I was there for that, where I was just flipping him the hell off. It's nice to see somebody with this much legitimate heat. I mean, if you watch the show from last night, people were just giving him hell. And I know it's the House of Independence. They're going to be, they're going to give people shit more than usual because they're just a really tough crowd. But that just goes to show you how great of a heel Ricky Shane Page is. So I'm enjoying that whole thing. Enjoyed that whole show. Go read the review, especially if you haven't seen it yet. I didn't give too much away of that Tony Deppen and Atlas match. I gave the ending away. Of course, you have to give the result in your review. But as far as the work that was put in that Atlas Deppen match, which I think was the match of the card, you're going to have the detractors talking about how it looks more like choreography than a match. And fuck off. That's wrestling. If you haven't figured out by now that wrestling is choreographed and you have to point out, oh, it looks choreographed, you're fucking stupid. If you got to complain about something, I mean, that's like the last thing you need to complain about. Just be honest and say you don't like it because you can't do it. You are not in the condition. You are not in the shape of these two guys. And I mean, who is? I mean, quite honestly, it takes a while to get in the shape of a Jake Atlas or even in the condition of a Tony Deppen. Think of how much time that takes. Yeah, it's easier to sit there and bitch about it and actually do it. So that's where a lot of that jealousy comes from. And I mentioned that, of course, in the review. But yeah, definitely go back and watch that show. If not just for Deppen and Atlas, go back and watch it for that scramble. Everybody in that scramble match, that first match, the 6-man scramble, everybody in there was worth watching. Everybody in there is one of my favorite indie wrestlers right now. AJ Gray, Blake Christian, Ophidian, Cole Radrick, and, Treehouse Lee. And Oswald Project. Hell yes, Oswald Project. Book this guy. I hadn't heard of him. I guess maybe around 2 months ago was when I first heard of Oswald Project. And then I think the comparison that somebody was making is that, oh, he's like Eugene. But no, he's totally not. He's a science project. He's, this bendy, flippy. My thing is, he's like if somebody made a Frankenstein out of their Stretch Armstrong doll. That would be Oswald Project. He's human, but it's like this guy bends and contorts himself into impossible ways to where you're like, okay, Mr. Fantastic. And he is fantastic. So great stuff in that scramble match. Go back and watch that. That Cole Radrick spot where he sends himself through a table that he's set up is great. Cole Radrick is wonderful. That's, I am never going to be too terribly worried about the indies because you're always going to have people coming up that are hungry, that are ready for the fans' attention. And I don't think there's going to be a moment where we're sitting there in a drought wondering where the next big indie names are going to come from. No, they're coming up right now. GCW's got it. They scout that talent. They put them on their card. There it is. It's not difficult. So yeah, indie wrestling scene's got this. Other things going on. We go from the positive to a little bit of the negative. Of course, you had yesterday the whole big controversy. Every weekend, it seems like there's a controversy and somebody's getting canceled, blah, 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 blah. This week, Tessa Blanchard. Okay, so, and on this one, just like with the Rory Gulak one, when you have enough evidence, when enough people have come forth to pretty much condemn you, to damn you, you got to start listening. And I get it. I understand with some of these fans, Tessa Blanchard, they've put time, they've invested their time in her, whether they like her as a wrestler, I don't know, whether they want to fuck her, I don't know. But you've got some fans that are willing to die on a hill that they really shouldn't. Honestly, when people do bad things, and wrestlers are going to do bad things, especially if they come from a history of people that do bad things like the Blanchard family. Sorry. They're just known for being racist. You have to understand that it's on that person to step up and apologize. And Tessa Blanchard, by her own admission, has been hard to work with. I think, and this is just me, instead of trying to rug sweep it, as she has done, and maybe it's just because I'm just a little bit older, wiser, just all around smarter than this stupid bitch, just apologize. How hard is it? It would have been a lot better for your career, which is kind of floundering right now if you're losing bookings. And I don't think overall Tessa's going to suffer a lot from this. I think she's going to have a place in wrestling. I think she's going to have a shit stain on her and a shit smell on her that she's not going to be able to wash or wipe off, because that's just what racism is. But then again, Tully Blanchard has been dealing with that for his whole life. And yet you have to remember, Tully's kind of that four horseman that does get swept under the rug, because they do know that Tully was a racist, as well as Ole. You don't hear as much about Tully Blanchard and Ole Anderson as you do Arn Anderson or Ric Flair. And there's a reason for that. Okay. Back in my day, when I was younger, my dad, his friends, huge Four Horsemen fans, because we come from down south. That's just the way it is. We were Four Horsemen fans. We were Four Horsemen people. But, they would go to shows, my dad and his friends. They would meet these guys. And just like we do now, they have a grapevine. They talk. And those guys back then knew the good ones, so to speak. They knew the ones that you wanted to meet. Yeah, they're good people. And they knew the ones that were assholes. By all accounts, Tully Blanchard, Ole Anderson, those were the names that came out. Nope, not good people. Nope, racists. Just not good people. Prejudiced. And it's not that hard for me to link Tessa to that behavior. Maybe it's normalized for her. I don't care. It's still wrong. And it's not that difficult to apologize. Sorry. So whatever happens to her happens. Honestly, I don't want her to just stop getting booked altogether. I would rather her have to eat a little shit from fans, quite honestly, which she's going to have to do. You're going to have a stain on you for a while. And you're just going to have to smile and eat shit. And, hopefully the fans won't ignore you completely. Pass your merch table by. Because, you can have that persona of being a badass and not having to bow to anybody. But when it starts hitting you in your pocketbook, it's funny how they start switching the game. And, suddenly they're friends with everybody. Happened to Ric Flair. I hate to say that. It happened to Ric Flair. It happened to Hulk Hogan. After a while, that money starts drying up. That black audience starts looking real good. Happens to them all. But, hey, that's what's going on as far as social media right now. I'll tell you who feels good about Tessa. Her name and her drama being out there is Teddy Hart. I don't think, and see, once again, these are all names of people who are related to people in the business. There are sons, daughters, nieces, nephews of people in the business. These are not people who are used to having to bow and scrape to come up. They're not used to having to eat, kiss ass, eat shit. Because, my daddy's so-and-so or my uncle's so-and-so. These are those people who need to be knocked down off a peg. So that's kind of why I'm like, no, let them stay around. Don't, you can stop booking them, but don't stop booking them completely. Let us fans have the enjoyment of walking by their merch table and just laughing, Ain't gonna buy your shit. Because I guarantee you, it might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, maybe 5-10 years down the road. These are the same motherfuckers that will be kissing your ass at shows just to buy a shirt. Let them stay around. Let them stay around. Let them whore themselves out for a little bit of your money. It's a little enjoyable. So yeah, Teddy Hart, Teddy's gonna be around. He's got his shitty opinions. He's got his hangers on that protect him. He's got a lot of protectors in this business just because what his last name is. Just like Tessa, even though Hart's a more known name. I think with Teddy, And Teddy's starting to see it now too. I mean, I can't think of anybody that's supporting him other than, buying his merch. Maybe they are, I don't know. But this is where fans can have their voice. Fans don't purchase anything related to that wrestler. Like with Impact, I'm not watching that tonight. I wasn't watching Impact to begin with, quite honestly, because they're shit. But when you have somebody like Tessa Blanchard on there, yeah, that's the time where you don't support them. Don't support that company for having somebody on that show. So, let them keep booking them, let them keep doing their thing. You just don't have to watch it. Hit them where it hurts. Hit them in that pocketbook. All right, so I think I did pretty good there. I wasn't going to go on too much of a rant. Just wanted to put out there the alternative instead of, going online and bitching about what these people do. Let them keep doing what they're doing. You just don't support their company. You just don't support them. Because I guarantee you, like I said, let it sit a few years. Trash has a way of stinking itself out, taking itself out, I guess. And I think that's what's gonna happen with some of these names that are popping up here lately in this cancel culture. This cancel culture that's been going on since the Salem witch trial days. This is nothing new. It's funny how people are like, oh gosh, where did this cancel culture come from? Oh yeah, Salem in the 1600s? It's been around for a while, people. It's just now hitting us and it's real. All right, so other things going on. The end of this month is a couple of weeks away. You got the Royal Rumble coming up, and that's, I think, when I'll officially start my WWE watching for Mania season, because I think that's when things are going to get interesting again. So I'll watch Raw tomorrow just to see the build for the Rumble, see what's going on. But honestly, my heart is with the indies right now. My heart is with GCW, with Beyond's show later this month, the weekend of I think it's the 25th actually, for Please Come Back. And other than that, I think right now, January usually is a good month for building wrestling. So a lot's going on right now, just depending on what you're watching. My recommendations, you need to be watching GCW because they've got a full loaded month of shows as far as building up for the collective. And this is a great time. If you're, new to the whole GCW thing like I was just a few months ago, this is a great time to get in on that because everything's building up toward the collective, which I think is shaping up right now to be bigger than anything WWE's got going on with the Access or Hall of Fame or what have you. I mean, just events everywhere with GCW. Definitely bigger than what WrestleCon, or at least WrestleCon hadn't really announced everything yet. But the collective is, head and shoulders above everything else right now. It's a good time to start watching GCW, especially now that they've got their back catalog on IWTV, and get into it and kind of get an idea of what you're getting into as a fan before WrestleMania season starts. So during this downtime for WWE watching, get into those indies, get into Beyond. Go back and watch season 2 of Uncharted Territory before the Please Come Back show later this month. Go back and watch some GCW. Go and watch IWTV just for the new promotions that they've got. And on Thursday nights right now, while Uncharted Territory is between seasons, you've got the IWTV mix. And that started this past Thursday. Excellent idea. I'm so glad they did this. I kind of wish they did it at the end of season 1 of Uncharted Territory. But hey, better late than never. Because this is a great way. It's almost like if somebody was sending you a compilation tape, for those that, kind of remember the tape trading days, somebody sending you a compilation tape of the best that's going on right now. And I used to do that. I love that shit. So Thursday nights are huge right now. This is a great time to get involved with independent wrestling right now. So, all right. So around the 20-minute mark, talk a little bit too much more than what I wanted to. But hey, I will touch base on Wednesday, back in time for Dynamite. Maybe I will watch Raw. I'll let you know if I did. But in the meantime, check out the indies, have fun watching wrestling, and have a great week.